Evening, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host, Jamie. Got a bit of a mishmash on today. My usual Forest training jacket and representing my dad's team, West Ham, today, who played in a crucial game today. They had to win. By the end of the Saturday's results, West Ham were in 19th and Southampton were bottom on the 20th. They played each other earlier today, and West Ham came out 1-0 victors even. A goal from Agard, his first goal for the defender for West Ham, and that gave West Ham a much needed 1-0 win, which took them from 19th up to 14th in the table. Also today, in today's results being Sunday, Newcastle won 2-0 against Manchester United, which meant that Newcastle move into third place above Manchester United on goal difference. Manchester United dropped down to fourth. Still at the top after Saturday's results, Arsenal maintain their 8-point lead over Manchester City. Although Manchester City did absolutely smash Liverpool, having gone 1 goal behind at home to Liverpool through Mohamed Salah. Man City replied with goals from Alcaraz, De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Grealish, who had an absolute storm of a game. Manchester City won the game 4-1, having been drawing 1-1 at half time. And that was without Haaland playing, which just shows how insane Manchester City's striking options are and they are as a team for scoring goals. Absolutely insane. But as I said, Arsenal are still top by 8 points. Man City do have that game in hand, which I believe is against West Ham at home, so they should win that game in hand. No disrespect to West Ham fans, but I think they know that Man City will probably beat them. Anyway, but Arsenal top because they won 4-1 at home to relegation threatened Leeds United. Leeds didn't really put up much of a fight. 2 goals from Gabriel Jesus, 1 goal from White, and 1 goal from Xhaka. A goal from Christensen for Leeds, but it was only a consolation. It made the score 3-1 at one point in the game. But yeah, as I say, Arsenal continue to smash it. Arsenal now have only got to play 9 more games to win the title. I can't see them losing 2 games on the bounce. Therefore, I can't see Arsenal giving up the title to Manchester City. So looking at that, I'm going to say Arsenal will win the title now for sure, even just with 9 games to go. I think it's a safe prediction to make, barring an absolute catastrophe from Arsenal. So going to more results, Bournemouth needed to win. They were playing at home to Fulham. They were started the day in the relegation zone, and they did win. They came from behind. A goal was scored by Fulham's Pereira early on, but 2 goals from Tavernier and a goal from Solanke gave Bournemouth a much needed 2-1 win and 3 points to push them outside the relegation zone. Then going into other games that were down the bottom, Nottingham Forest were playing a Midlands derby against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Both teams had played each other at home in the cup, the quarterfinals of the League Cup earlier in the season, and it had finished 1-1. It was to finish 1-1 again in this game. Forest needed the points really, and so did Wolves, but Forest could have gone a lot clearer from the relegation zone. They could have gone something like 4 points clear with that win. As it is, they're only 2 points clear. They ended up drawing 1-1. Early goal from Brennan Johnson, top goal scorer for Forest. He looked like he was going to be injured coming into the game, but he ended up playing. So Brennan Johnson scored first on the 38th minute, but then Podence scored the left winger for Wolverhampton Wanderers on the 83rd minute. So 1-1 draw there. Both teams desperately needed the points, and that's what ended up happening. They got a point each. As I say, other games, Roy Hodgson was back in charge of Crystal Palace, and they were home to Leicester City at the weekend. Roy Hodgson had been the Crystal Palace manager for several years, and then had taken gardening leave. Literally managed Watford towards the end of last season, but they ended up getting relegated anyway from the Premier League. And he's come back in now for the last remaining, I think, 10 games it is, or 9 games of Crystal Palace's season. So they got a much needed win. They came from behind as well. They ended up a goal from Ricardo Pereira from Leicester put them in the lead, but an own goal by the Leicester standing goalkeeper Iverson and a goal from Mateta literally on the 90th minute robbed Leicester of getting a point and actually dropped Leicester into the relegation zone. As a Forest fan, that was quite good to see. But anyway, that was 2-1 to Palace. So that takes Palace further away from relegation trouble. They now sit on with 30 points in 12th place. And I don't think that Palace will be any trouble. That will be in any trouble as far as going in the relegation zone. Although it's still early days. That I mean, Leicester. I've got 25 points in there. Everton dropped back down into the relegation zone after Sunday's results. But Everton play at home to Tottenham tomorrow, and I think that, looking at all things considered, I think that Everton, they're on a bit of a good run, and they have had some good wins at home in the last few games. But I do think that they'll come not completely unstuck, but I think they might do, actually. I'm going to go for Tottenham to win that game 2-1. So that's my prediction, Tottenham 2-1. I think Tottenham just got rid of Conte, or Conte's left, or whatever. He had enough. He sealed his fate by saying that the expectations are too much and that the players are not able to mentally to deal with those expectations. And I think that sealed the last nail in his coffin, to be honest, and he got the sack. Also, exclusive news today, Brendan Rodgers, the Leicester City manager, he got sacked earlier on today. I believe it was around 3:00 time today. That was issued to the BBC on Sky Sports, as well as BBC and all the other major media outlets. Leicester have got rid of Brendan Rodgers after a few seasons in charge. Leicester I can understand it because Leicester are sitting now in 19th position in the table, which, it's not very good considering that only about several seasons ago they were the champions of England. So, a bit downhill for them. The final result of the weekend that I didn't mention was Aston Villa getting a fantastic win away at Chelsea. They won 2-0. Goals from Ollie Watkins and a goal from John McGinn, an absolute stunner of a strike. And that was it for the weekend in the Prem. As I said earlier, Arsenal are still top, as a lot of us know, with 73 points. Manchester City are in second with 64, and now Newcastle are above Manchester United on goal difference, but both of those teams have got 50 points each. So they're still quite far behind, obviously, Arsenal and Manchester City. I don't think Manchester City, like I said earlier, will catch them. Haaland is still the top goal scorer in the Premier League with 28 goals, even though he wasn't playing, he was slightly injured on the Saturday. But anyway, we'll jump onto the Championship now. At the start of the day, as a lot of people that watch the show know, Burnley are top of the Championship, and they have been there for a long, long time this season. I think pretty much up most of the season. They continue to maintain being top of the table, even though they only drew 0-0 at home against Sunderland on Friday night. They have 84 points, and they currently stand 11 points ahead of Sheffield United, who got a much-needed win away at Norwich City, Norwich obviously were looking to get into the playoffs. They're just outside them at the moment by 4 points. But Sheffield United got a much needed win. A goal from McAtee, the on-loan player from Manchester City, scored the winner for Sheffield United. Birmingham City got a much needed 1-0 win at home to Blackburn to sort of stave off any fears of relegation, pretty much for them now. They're 10 points clear of the relegation zone after that result. There was a massive South Wales derby. Could you believe it? 110 years it was since either Cardiff or Swansea did the double in league meetings over each other. Now Swansea have now repeated that feat twice in the last 2 seasons after waiting 110 years to be able to do that. They won 2-0 earlier on in the season at home to Cardiff. They're bitter rivals, and they robbed Cardiff City of a point after Cardiff City fought back from 2-0 down to win on the 99th minute of injury time, thanks to Ben Cabango, the defender for Swansea, give them a 3-2 win. And that takes the Swans up to 15th in the table, I believe, and drops Cardiff are just above the relegation zone, hovering dangerously close. And that was after Huddersfield Town absolutely smashed the informed team Middlesbrough 4-2. Goals from Ruffles, Corona, and 2 from Pearson. Neil Warnock back from his garden leave. He used to manage Huddersfield Town years ago. Gave them a massive 4-2 win there. And that keeps Huddersfield within touching distance of Cardiff and Rotherham. They're now only behind Cardiff and getting out of the relegation zone on goal difference. So I think Huddersfield will escape now, if I'm honest, because they've got the form with them. It's looking very perilous for QPR as well. They lost to Wigan Athletic, who are bottom of the Championship. Wigan Athletic players haven't even been paid for the last few weeks. So how the hell they managed to get the motivation to grind out a 3-point to get a result there. But that's crucial for them in their escape from the drop. They're only 5 points away from getting out of it, but I can't really see them escaping. Other results in the Championship: Bristol City drew 1-1 with Reading. Coventry City got absolutely smashed by Stoke. Coventry had been on really good form, but Stoke had been on really good form as well. Stoke smashed them 4-0. Goals from Brown, Campbell, Smallbone, and Hoover. Hull drew 0-0 with Rotherham. Luton won 2-0 in the Hertfordshire derby against Watford. Preston smashed relegation threatened Blackpool 3-1 in their local Lancashire derby. West Bromwich Albion drew 0-0 with Millwall. And that's all the games in the Championship. So the top of the Championship, you've got Burnley. In second place, you've got Sheffield United. And like I say, they're still 11 points behind them. Middlesbrough drop even further behind Sheffield United. And Sheffield United have got a game in hand. So now Sheffield United are 6 points clear of Middlesbrough, who are in third for that in the fight for the automatic promotion place, second place. And they've also got a game in hand. So I think it's safe to say that probably Sheffield United will maintain that form and stay in second place and get promoted back to the Premier League with Burnley. But as I say, in the playoffs, Middlesbrough, Luton Town, Millwall and Blackburn in the Championship. Norwich are just outside of that playoffs area. Down the bottom in the relegation zone in the Championship, you've got Huddersfield Town, Blackpool and Wigan. So top goal scorer is still Chuba Akpom, and he's got something crazy like 25 goals for Middlesbrough this season. And we've still got how many games left? For a lot of the teams, there's still another 8 games left to the season, or 7 games in the Championship. So it's still all to play for. And it'll be exciting to see the twists and turns and see who gets promoted from the Championship and who gets relegated from that. Jumping into League One, there was some massive results. Charlton Athletic absolutely hammered Shrewsbury 6-0. Insane game. Fraser scored, Morgan scored, Rekisaki scored, Lee Burn scored twice from their youth academy, and Bonet scored to make it 6-0. Absolutely mental scoreline, their biggest of the season. But Charlton are only sort of lying around 11th place in the League One, so they're not having a great season by what they thought they would be. I think they thought they'd be up there challenging. They're a massive club for League One level, but a great win for them there, 6-0. Bolton and Accrington Stanley was called off because Bolton was playing in the JPT Trophy against Plymouth today, which Bolton won 4-0. So that's their first bit of silverware for years and years, I think since the 80s or something stupid. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Barnsley smashed Morecambe 5-0 to keep up the pressure on Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday in those automatic places. Ipswich also won to keep up the pressure as well. Ipswich won 2-0 away at Derby. Looking at other results, Cheltenham drew 0-0 with Burton Albion. Fleetwood drew 2-2 with Exeter City. Peterborough drew 0-0 with Oxford United. Plymouth and Bristol Rovers obviously called off because of that FA Trophy, as I said earlier. Cambridge beat Port Vale 2-0 away from home. Portsmouth beat Forest Green 1-0. Sheffield Wednesday drew 1-0 with Lincoln City, and Wickham drew 2-2 with MK Dons. So how that makes the table look, Sheffield Wednesday is still top, even though the last 3 games, Sheffield Wednesday have faltered a bit. They've had a couple of draws and a defeat. But Sheffield Wednesday sit top, but only narrowly on goal difference from Plymouth in second. Both teams are on 80 points. In the playoffs, you've got Ipswich with 79 points, Barnsley with 75. So those two are really, really challenging to try and get that second spot off either Plymouth or Sheffield Wednesday to get promoted. In stats, I would say it was still a 4-horse race for the title, really. You know, even though two teams Ipswich are definitely in with a shout of going for the title. So maybe at a push 4-horse race, realistically, maybe a 3-horse race looking at it, because there's only 2 points, 5 points separating 4 of them and 2 points separating 3 of them. So the top 3. So crazy in that league. A lot of good competition going on. But other teams that are in the playoffs at the moment, Bolton and Peterborough United, Derby sit just outside the League One playoffs. In the relegation zone in League One, you've got Accrington Stanley. You've got Morecambe, Cambridge United, and Forest Green right at the bottom there. And still the top goal scorer is Johnson Clark Harris with 22 goals in League One. So yeah, that's what's going on in League One. And then we're going to jump into League Two and just run through that really quickly, because I like to keep these videos down to about 15 to sort of 17 minutes at most. But anyway, we're looking to League Two. League Two, Leyton Orient been top for a long, long time. Again, same as Burnley in the Championship. Leyton Orient got a much-needed 1-0 win against a reasonably informed team, Carlisle United, who were sitting in the playoffs in 4th place. They beat them 1-0. Northampton was playing in a game as well. They lost. I can't even see what they did. I'll just run through all the results to be fair. Let's run through. Rochdale trying to escape relegation from League Two. They were bottom at the start of the day. They're still bottom, although they did get a little bit of a morale boosting win, but I don't think it'll be enough for them because they are literally 8 points away from safety, and there is only like 7 games to play for them. So I think they're pretty much doomed, Rochdale, to the conference. But anyway, Rochdale got a 1-0 win away at AFC Wimbledon. Barrow won 2-1 against Gillingham. Bradford City beat Grimsby Town 3-2. Colchester drew 0-0 with Newport County. Doncaster lost 2-0 at home to Crewe Alexander. Hartlepool got a much needed win to try and escape that relegation zone in League Two. They're down there as well. They beat, as I say, Swindon 2-1. Mansfield absolutely smashed Crawley Town 4-1. Northampton drew 1-0 with Stevenage. Both those teams sit in the automatic promotion places in League One second and third respectively. So they were really close to each other in the table. Walsall drew 1-0 with Sutton United. And 2 games that were played on Friday night. There was a Greater Manchester derby between Stockport County and Salford City, which my mate Dan went to. He's a Stockport lad. They drew 1-1, and Tranmere drew 1-1 with Harrogate Town. So how it makes the table look, Leyton Orient, as I said earlier, top. You've got Northampton in second and Stevenage in third for the automatic promotion places. And in the playoffs, you've got Carlisle United, Stockport County, Bradford City and Salford City. And then going down to the relegation zone, the bottom 2, to go down to the conference as it stands, unless it changes, Hartlepool and Rochdale. Top goal scorer for League Two, it's Landy Cook for Bradford City. He now has 23 goals. So yeah, that's what's going on for the whole weekend. Some mad results, 1 or 2 mad results. Hodgson got a 2-1 win on his first game back as manager again for Crystal Palace. Coming from behind against Leicester City. Charlton Athletic absolutely smashed Shrewsbury 6-0. Stoke was impressive and smashed Coventry 4-0 in the Championship. Also, congratulations to Swansea getting a second league double in the entire history against Cardiff on the trot after having to wait 110 years to get it previously. And Huddersfield, congratulations to Huddersfield for getting a 4-2 smashing against the most informed team in the Championship, Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough. So yeah, great results there. Pretty mad shocks from some of those games, as I said, I've just mentioned. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I appreciate your support, all those people that get behind me. I get more content. If you think about it logically, guys, you watch all these other episodes by people, and they just do score predictions and talk a load of waffle, really. I give you the facts. I have a lot of information about the teams. I study it in my own time, but I don't even rehearse these. So all this content and things I'm giving you, if you're a football fan, if you're really into your football, remember, I know my stuff. Have a great week. Love your support. All the best. And catch up with you later for another episode, which I'm going to do. It's going to be all the score predictions for the coming week. Have a great week. Bye for now.